Hey guys, it's Will. It's Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome and thank you for finding us. We are on the road to 10,000 subs. It is a super exciting time to be doing this channel. If you're not subscribed, what is this one little piece of my hair doing over here? It's like, I will not go where you want me to go. I defy you, Daddy. We're on the road to 10,000 subs, and that's freaking crazy because I never thought that this channel would get this big, and it's been a really exciting time to be doing this channel. I do want to thank everyone for, first of all, anyone who shares our stuff, comments on it, likes it, like helps us with the algorithm, tells your friends. Huge thank you. I want to give a huge shout out to our patrons too, because our patrons are amazing people, and they're all really kind and really generous and really thoughtful people. You can sign up for $2 a month or $5 a month. Literally all that money goes back into the channel. I buy Blu-rays with it for the most part, and our patrons get to decide like the order in which I'm reviewing stuff. I do polls in there, I do early release content, and we have a Discord for Patreon now, which has been really fun, and like chatting with people, and I do like behind the scenes pictures and stuff, you know, like fun stuff like that. But I wanted to mention Patreon, and I wanted to mention, I wanted to thank everyone who has stuck with us through this year, because there have been some pretty big gaps in like the regular posting of content on the channel, and my output has slowed down quite a bit this year for a lot of reasons. My job that I have right now is way busier than the job I had for the past couple years, so it's harder for me to get time to make content. Also, I got hired to write a screenplay this year. I just finished that like a week ago or so. They're like doing casting and stuff like that now. So I was in like a really intense period of like writing, like talking to the director for like 2 hours on the phone. The director's a good friend of mine. So we wrote the script together, and we would get on the phone for like 2 hours at a time and just like go over everything, and like a lot of chatting and emails and a lot of work into the screenplay, right? And then I have, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that, like 3 years ago at this point, I won a writing contest. And so my prize is that I'm getting a novel published, and I am, in addition to writing the screenplay, I'm in like the editorial process on like the second draft of the novel, and then creating documents for the publishing company and doing outlines and having like 90-minute, 2-hour-long Zoom calls with them to discuss everything. So I've just been really freaking busy. And then I've had like some health stuff, like I threw my back out. I got freaking gout, okay, which is preposterous because I'm not that old. And also apparently gout comes from like excessively drinking and eating like buttloads of meat, and I don't do either one of those things. So I was like, how did I get gout? So I got gout. And I don't know. I had the flu for like a month. So I literally watched no Hong Kong movies for the entire month of April because I got the flu. I gave it to my son. He gave it back to me. So I literally had it for like the entire month of April. It's just been a shit show of a year. So thank you to everyone who has stuck with us on this channel and like not abandoned ship because I'm not putting out as much content, or I'm just like busy, or like I feel like I've been a little bit crankier in comment sections recently, and I apologize for that because I'm just gonna have a sip of coffee. Because I don't know, it feels like the world is falling onto me and crushing me. So anyway, but we're here to talk about fun stuff, and the fun stuff is an unboxing. Now I absolutely fucking mangled the box. Wah wah. Okay, Daddy, don't do too many box jokes. I fucking destroyed this box. I had to get into it so badly. I destroyed the box. Daddy's a bad daddy, and Daddy's naughty with the box sometimes. Daddy loves box. He loves getting surprise box. So here's the deal. I never know where the fucking scissors are in my house. My wife is a teacher, so she's always using scissors for like projects and shit like that, right? And my kids often use scissors for like whatever fucking crafts they're working on at the house, right? And I'm not 100% sure about this, but I think I'm the only person in my family who understands the idea of putting something back where you found it so that someone else can find it. Maybe they enjoy the chaos of constantly trying to find things that are not where they should be, right? I can never find the scissors, like literally never. And I was like, I'm just going to rip this thing open so we can talk about it. So it's an unboxing. I actually know what's in here because this is from Clinton. So, and not Bill, but one of our patrons. So the story behind Clinton is we met on YouTube when I was doing, you know, like reviews and stuff like that. He would comment on videos and stuff like that. And then maybe about a year and a half ago, I finally signed up for Twitter, and I've been a lot more active on Twitter. And like Times Square Kung Fu, Frankie, shout out to Frankie, who we all know is awesome, who was in the Criterion Closet recently and saw the laser discs and got a picture with the Seven Samurai laser disc. That is fucking awesome. Okay. So Frankie was like, you got to get on Twitter. You got to get on Twitter. And finally I was like, okay, fine. I'll try it. I had tried Twitter before and I fucking hated it and I deleted my account. I'm really enjoying Twitter anyway. So I like became friends with Clinton on Twitter and he's like, oh, I'm the same person who's commenting on your videos under this name. And like Clinton is now, like I said, a patron. And so he's in the Discord that we have for Patreon and we've been chatting a lot there. And he reached out to me. He was like, I upgraded all these movies to 4K. He sent me a bunch of pictures and he's like, do you want any of them? And I was like, oh, yeah, like almost all of them, basically. I mean, if you don't mind, like, I'll pay for shipping. I'll pay you for the movies. Like, what do you want? He's like, no. I just want to send it to you. I'll pay for the shipping. Don't worry about it. He's like very, very, very kind, very gentlemanly, has amazing taste in movies, watches a ton of movies. The thing I'm happiest about with this channel is all of the amazing people I have met for doing it. One of the reasons I started this channel is I didn't really know anyone in my personal life who was a huge fan of Hong Kong cinema in particular, but also like Japanese cinema, Korean cinema, anything like that. Like, I have a good friend named Danny who I went to film school with, and Danny loves like Face Off and some of those like John Woo movies and stuff like that. But I didn't know anyone who was like as deep into it as I was, right? And so I was like, let me like, and I wanted to start some kind of social media endeavor just for fun as a creative outlet. And I was like, let me do a Hong Kong cinema channel. That'll be fun. And I've met so many incredible people that's honestly the reason I keep doing this, because I do get into periods where I'm like, I just don't have time, or like I don't have the mental energy, or it's taking too much away from this or that and that. But every time I think that, I'll get like an email or a message, and I'm like, oh, I have to keep doing this because these people are amazing and I just want to continue to be part of that. So I know what's in here, but I'm still really excited to show this off to you. So, a movie I have never owned, The Thing. Hell yes, this is the collector's edition Shout Factory Blu-ray release, the absolutely freaking classic John Carpenter sci-fi horror film from 1982, released on the same day as Blade Runner, very famously, and released like, is the deal that it was released 2 weeks after E.T.? And that's like, a lot of people think that's why it tanked. It was just like crushed by the behemoth of E.T. and the fact that like no one wanted to see this really dark, intense alien movie at the same time that E.T. was tearing up the box office. But this is an incredible movie. I've watched this probably like 4 times in the past like maybe 5 years. I've gotten really, really into it recently, which is weird. I know it's been out for like 42 years, but recently I've gotten really into John Carpenter. I watched all the Halloween movies a couple years ago, and I fell in love with like Prince of Darkness within like the past 4 or 5 years. And I've just gotten really, really into John Carpenter. Well, maybe it's been longer than that. It's probably been 6 or 7 years at this point. But within the last decade, I've gotten really into John Carpenter. I've been watching his movies over and over again. I just rewatched Escape from New York, which is like a fucking perfect movie. And I don't own this movie, so this is really, really exciting for me. This is one of Mike's like top probably 3 to 5 movies of all time too. If you don't know who Mike is, he's my partner in this channel. So he edits all the videos, he does all the thumbnails. We have a podcast together called Movie of the Week. I might pick some of these movies for our podcast because that would be really fun, because it's a really fun thing to do. This is a movie I've only seen once before, Darkman, which is directed by Sam Raimi, I believe, right? And stars Liam Neeson, and is just a really dark, weird, comic booky kind of movie I really enjoyed it when I watched it. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of The Crow, not in as much as it has like similar elements to The Crow, but in that it's a very kind of like 90s dark, violent, like comic booky type of movie. And I don't own this movie. I've only seen it once. I've actually been wanting to rewatch this recently, so I'm really, really excited about that. Thank you. Oh, and speak of the devil, The Crow, which I also don't own and have never owned. Okay, let me just talk, because that's what I do. When this movie first came out, I saw it with a friend of mine. I was not supposed to see this movie. My parents did not want me to see this movie, but the soundtrack to this movie was such a big thing. I'm a huge music fan, right? The soundtrack to this movie was such a big part of like pop culture at the time, and like the makeup for The Crow and like the darkness of it, the violence of it, the fact that I knew I wasn't supposed to see it, right, made me really want to see it. So my friend and I went and we saw it, and we weren't supposed to see it. We freaking loved it. I actually wrote a letter. One of my friends when I was in middle school like moved away. He moved to New Mexico. And he was one of my friends I used to go to the comic book store a lot with. So I wrote him a letter about, like, this is pre-email, about how, like, oh, Brandon Lee should play the Joker because he's, like, perfect for it. Obviously, he passed away. But, like, I was like, oh, he would have been so good as the Joker. And, like, So I loved this movie, and okay, should I admit my past criminality to you? When I was in middle school, my friend and I really wanted to read the comic for The Crow, but it was expensive and I didn't have money for it. And I also knew that my parents didn't want me to have it because it was like adult content and I couldn't ask them for it or couldn't ask them for money for it. So my friend and I stole it from Barnes and Noble at the mall, or maybe it was the Borders. I stole it and I kept it in my locker because I knew I couldn't keep it at home because my parents would find it. So I kept it at the bottom of my locker when I was in middle school. And then when I moved to high school, it like moved to my high school locker, I think, if I remember correctly. Anyway, I stole it from the mall. And I love the comic too. And then I hadn't seen this movie. I watched it a lot when I was younger, but I hadn't seen it recently until last year. And I rewatched it, and it had been like 20 plus years since I had seen it. And the amount of nostalgia just like destroyed me. And I really fell in love with this movie again. So I'm so happy to own this, and I cannot thank you enough. And that's Story Time with Daddy. And what do we have here? The Conan movies. I really like Conan the Barbarian. This is one of the few Arnold Schwarzenegger movies that I think I like more than Mike likes it. I love Conan the Barbarian. It is such a fun movie. I also learned a lot about it when I read Oliver Stone's autobiography last year. And Oliver Stone's version, because, Oliver Stone wrote the script, but then John Milius ended up directing it and rewriting it. But like the Oliver Stone version, according to his autobiography, was like fucking nuts and sounds amazing. The John Milius version is basically like this conservative, like pro-war, anti-hippie diatribe, but it's like amazing. It's totally fucking amazing, and I love it. Conan the Destroyer I haven't seen since I lived in Japan, actually. I had a good friend in Japan who loved both of these movies, and we watched them both together. And so that was probably 2004. So it's been 20 movies. So I'm actually due for a rewatch. I watched Conan a couple years ago, but Conan the Destroyer I haven't rewatched recently. So I'm really excited to check that out again and to own. I've never owned these movies. Like there's so many movies in this box that I love, but that I've never owned before. Okay, now this next one is really interesting. The timing of it. It's Brotherhood of the Wolf. I saw this movie in theaters because I love Vincent Cassel, who's in this, right? Because he was in La Haine, right, which I saw when I was in high school, and that movie like was one of the movies that like really changed my life and made me love movies in a different way and set me on my path to where I am now. So I wanted to see everything that he was in. So I went and saw this in theaters when I was in high school. I have not seen it, or maybe I was in college. When did it come out? 2001. So I was high school, college. That was the year I graduated high school. I haven't seen it since then. Mike saw this movie recently and absolutely freaking loved it and will not stop talking about it. So I've been thinking, like, I really need to rewatch Brotherhood of the Wolf. Mark Dacascos is in it, right? And it's got, like, martial arts in it and, like, a cult and all this crazy shit. So I've been dying to revisit this film. So I'm really excited for this. I also didn't even know that Shout Factory released this movie, so that's super exciting. What's next? The Departed. Okay, so this is a remake, as you know, of Infernal Affairs, the Hong Kong film starring Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, Leonardo DiCaprio, Mark Wahlberg is in this film. I lived in Massachusetts for like 6 or 7 years. I guess like 6.5 years. This movie came out when I lived in Massachusetts. I went to the University of Massachusetts, Amherst, which is like the flagship campus. So there's tons of people from Boston on that campus. And this movie came out after I graduated college, I think. But the screening that I went to was sold out and was filled with bros from Boston who went to UMass. And the enthusiasm for this movie at that screening was freaking insane. That was one of the most enthusiastic movie audiences I have ever experienced in my entire life. And when the ending happens, I won't spoil it if you haven't seen the movie, but Mark Wahlberg is involved in the ending. And when the ending happens, the theater went freaking ballistic. It was amazing. I have a bootleg DVD of this movie that I bought in Mexico, but I do not have a legitimate release of it, nor do I have a Blu-ray. So this is really exciting. And I haven't watched this movie in years. So I'm really excited to revisit it. So thank you. There's 4 more things in here. Oh shit, I forgot this was in here. Evil Dead. This is the remake. I've never seen this movie. I've seen the original 3 Sam Raimi films, Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. I've never seen any of the stuff that's come after this, but I have heard this movie is really brutal and really good. So hell yes. I'm very excited to finally check this out. Ooh, and it's a double disc release too. Okay, what else? Oh, okay. This next movie is a movie I have seen several times, and it's another one of those ones where I just like inexplicably don't like. Why don't I own this movie? I don't freaking know. It's Fargo. I first saw this movie in like maybe 1995, and have seen it. When did it come out? 96, so I didn't see it in 1995. Maybe I saw it in 97. I saw it like when it first came out on video, and I've seen it several times since then. When I was in grad school, I watched a lot of Coen Brothers movies because one of my screenwriting professors told me that the way I write reminds her of the Coen brothers, not in terms of like if you were to see a movie I wrote and see a movie they wrote, you'd think, oh, those movies are similar. Like the way that they describe scenes in their scripts, the way they actually write like the prose and dialogue of a screenplay. She thought that my style of like describing imagery and the words I would use reminded her of reading scripts that they had written. So I watched a lot of their stuff repeatedly and read like the scripts for their movies when I was in grad school. But it's been quite a while since I did like a big Coen Brothers binge. So this is really, 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 really exciting. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Our target daddy, John Woo and Van Dayer. This movie fucks so hard. It is amazing. The Mummy is in this movie. Lance Henriksen is in this movie. It has been several years since I've seen this movie. I'm going to watch it again very soon. I should review this for the channel since it's John Woo. I can 100% get away with that. Yes, Daddy. That's amazing. Okay, and there's one more in here. And oh shit, I forgot this was in here. Jaws. Mike and I just did a podcast on Under Paris, the shark movie that's out now, and we talked about Jaws, like especially like leading up to recording the podcast. Like we were texting each other a lot and we were talking about Jaws, and I haven't seen Jaws in at least 10 or 12 years, maybe longer than that. And I just like, I took a directing class when I was in grad school, like blocking in cinematic space. It was called like how to use the camera and people within space to make like dynamic shots and interesting cinema. And we watched a lot of Spielberg stuff in that class, and we watched some scenes from Jaws, and it's just like, Spielberg is just god level. Like his best movies are among the best movies ever made. If you don't like the stories, you don't have to like the stories. If you don't like the characters, whatever. From the standpoint of the blocking, the use of camera, the use of space, it's just preposterous. And I've been really, really dying to revisit Jaws. So that's super, super. Maybe I'll watch. I'm going away next week. I'll be out of town for a while, but when I get back, I should watch this. Hell yes. Hell yes. So these are from Clinton, who's one of our patrons, who's an amazing person over on Twitter and a great contributor to the channel through comments on YouTube and everything like that. Totally unprompted box for Daddy. I was so excited to receive this. That is an amazing stack of movies, none of which I own, all of which I can watch now. My name is Will. You guys are watching Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society. There's only one tangentially Hong Kong related film in here, but I don't give a fuck. I thought this would be fun, and it's my channel. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.